Okay. Everything's good. I just wanted to I like to check the audio because sometimes the audio, something's wrong with it. So anyway, I wanted to come on here and test, and I am very, very pleased that there's no stuttering when these go on and off the screen. I have a pretty much a bare bones version of Ventura right now. And I just installed things that I needed for Ecamm Live, which are Ecamm Live itself, and also my Apollo Twin X software, because I use that. That's my audio interface. I use that. So I had to install those things. A couple other bare bones things. Now, when I get off of here today, I'm going to make a clone of this OS exactly the way it is. So if, as I add things back that I use all the time, the stuttering is reintroduced, I can go back to my clone and start again, because I don't know what caused it other than the fact that if Apple supports listening, you guys have been very responsive, and I really appreciate it. They responded on Twitter if I was still having the problems to message them. Very, very cool. But Ventura should not install over Monterey without my input. You should stop like you always did before you install. You didn't do that. Ventura does not do that. When you go to download it, it installs over whatever you booted up in. And I just saw that note yesterday. This is the first time it's done that. Usually it stops before. So you can download it, in other words, stop it, and then you have the downloader in your applications folder. You have another comment here. I appreciate you coming on today and just giving me a heads up. See, no stutter. Everything looks good. Everything looks good. Melanie McMahon. McMahon. I don't know. I'm not sure how you say that. Thanks for stopping in. It's looking good. Everything's looking good. I'm so pleased. But since it worked yesterday with Monterey, which is just barely an install of Monterey, I thought about it. So let me do a brand new install of Ventura, not over top of another install, not using other things. So I bit the bullet and did that. John Waters says, fine from New Zealand, Richard. Thank you very much, John, for chiming in, helping today. I enjoy these live streams. I mean, basically, I have a TV studio in my house, in my studio. I have a TV studio to the world. I love that. When I was a kid, back when I was in single digits and going to grade school, I lived in Silver Spring, Maryland, on Riley Road. And there was a couple houses up from me, 3 houses up from me was a gentleman who I really, really liked. His name was Al Kittredge, Kitritch or Kittredge. I'm not sure which one of those two. I was a little kid. He was a projectionist downtown Washington, D.C. He ran the film projectors. But he also was a ham radio operator. He had an antenna. And I would go up to his house, and I was fascinated. Radios, dials. So because of him and his inspiration, I became a ham radio operator when I was a kid. But in those days, it was Morse code. You had to know Morse code. You had to pass the test. So it's the same thing. You're broadcasting to the world. You're broadcasting to the world. I mean, depends on how powerful your transmitter is, but Morse code travels very far. After sundown, it went very far. So I used to love listening to shortwave radio when I was a kid, listening to the world at night after the sun went down. So I did that when I was a kid, single digits in grade school. Then I got my license. I renewed my license during COVID. I got a new license. I took the test, studied for it, took the test, and I renewed my amateur radio license. So I have that, but it's like when it's podcasting started, when Adam Curry started podcasting years and years ago, it's longer than that, 15, 16, 17 years ago, the podfather. Adam Curry is the podfather, okay? He's the one of the two people that invented podcasting. It's not Adam Carolla. Adam Carolla is not the podfather. Adam Curry from MTV is the one that invented podcasting. Adam Carolla is a big, big podcaster, and I really like his show. But he's not the podfather. Adam Curry is the podfather. Just straighten that out. So I've been podcasting since Adam Curry started it, Daily Source Code, and I started it 6 months after I heard his podcast. I think it was in August, and I started podcasting my first podcast then, and I've been podcasting ever since. So it's the same thing like amateur radio, like being a ham radio operator. You can broadcast it from people to the world. I really like that. So I started with just audio podcasts. Now this video thing's become so prevalent everywhere that I come on and do video ones. But I still do the audio podcast as well. I have two podcasts they both have millions of downloads. Millions of audio downloads, and they've been in iTunes. As a matter of fact, the first year, so Adam Curry started podcasting in August. I started podcasting in March, the following March. June of that year, WWDC, Steve Jobs contacted Adam Curry and said, hey, we're thinking about adding podcasting to iTunes. What do you think about that? Adam Curry said, go right ahead. You have my blessing. So Steve Jobs added podcasting to iTunes at WWDC that June. 1 year later, they had a 1-year anniversary of podcasting. 1 year later, they had a 1-year birthday of podcasting. For that 1-year birthday of podcasting, they chose one podcast a week, 52 podcasts out of tens of thousands at that point. They chose 52 podcasts out of tens of thousands, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, whatever it was. They chose 52 to congratulate them. My podcast was one of the 52 that they chose that first year. I still have a graphic somewhere. I'll have to bring it up. I was so proud. I was so proud being a pioneer and being recognized by Apple back in the day. It was really a good feeling. But let me go ahead and add some more of these just to make sure the stuttering did not come back. I don't think it did. No, I don't see it at all. So that is fantastic. Fantastic. Like I said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to freeze this version of Ventura that I have. I'm going to make an exact clone, save it. So if at some point the stuttering comes back, I can go back to this version that doesn't have the stuttering. It wasn't audio stuttering. It was a visual 1 or 2 frame freeze every time I added something on the screen. It's gone. Fantastic. Well, first off, I appreciate everybody that helped me with the comments today. That's fine. It's really cool. I appreciate Ecamm Live coming over and logging into my computer and trying to help. But ultimately, it was something on my setup, preference, something. That's what the problem was. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. Let me just pull up one more thing just to try this out. This is at the local landfill. Let me just run this, and then I'll step out of this and go back to me and make sure there's no stutter there, because this is one of the other things that happened. So now it's just like, yeah, no stutter, 0 stutter. Fantastic, fantastic. So this is Final Cut Pro and Coffee. I'm going to be doing that Saturday mornings for the time being. I may not do it every Saturday, but I think I'm going to continue doing this on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. I may do 11, but usually 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to use that graphic, and I'll put a subtitle under each one just to see if everything is going well, and it's fine. Everything is looking fine. No problem. No problem. I don't know what this caused the stutter, but I know how to fix it. I know how to fix it. Fresh install of Ventura. I should have done that anyway. That's what I was planning on doing. All right, everyone. I appreciate everybody's watching and commenting. I'm going to take this offline because this is not really for the general public. This is just for testing purposes. Ecamm Live, Apple support. They contacted me on Twitter and said they will try to troubleshoot. Well, it's fixed. It's fixed. It's fantastic. So thank you, Apple support. Thank you, Final Cut Pro team. Thank you, Ecamm Live team, for making such a great, great product. And thank mainly all the listeners and watchers out there. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you very much.